Check.
From there, or I look here for the slides. The slides will be there. Yeah. Does he have it online yet? Well, ask Michelle. Ask Michelle. Does this go up? I feel like you, Martin. There's one over here. There we go. Nope, not much. All right.
Jimmy, you gonna sit down?
I don't know. Should I?
I think we should stand up.
Okay. I told Martin I feel like him in the seat anyways.
We'll give it one more minute. Welcome to ISE, everyone. We're gonna have a fun session talking about the AI-powered workplace. We're gonna have a full day of stream. So Jimmy and I are gonna be here starting in a few minutes talking about the AI-powered workplace. At 1 p.m., you have to come back because we're running a game show with prizes, which is also gonna be a lot of fun. Jimmy's gonna host that. I'll be here as well, but Jimmy prepared something amazing. At 2 p.m., we'll talk about Microsoft Places. At 4 p.m., we'll have Ilya Buckstein here for a live. He's our VP for devices and premium experiences, and he will be here for a live Ask Me Anything. So any question you have about Microsoft Teams Rooms, Microsoft Places, Microsoft Phone, Microsoft 365 Copilot, make sure to be here at 4 so you can ask all the questions to the people that actually build the solution. I'm just checking with, did we go live as well? We're live? Okay, good stuff. Shall we start?
Yeah, we're live.
Yeah, we're live. Here we are. So welcome to ISE for those watching online, because we do have people watching online on the YouTube. Welcome, joining us virtually today. My name is Michel Baumann. I look after the EMEA Teams Rooms channel team, which is a lot of fun. This is my good friend, Jimmy Vaughn. Jimmy, you want to do a quick introduction?
Yeah, my name is Jimmy Vaughn. I enable the U.S. and all of the Americas on the technical side for Teams Rooms. So Michelle and I have been doing this for a number of years. How many of you have your badge?
Oh, who has their Teams Rooms badge?
All right. Well, if you don't have your Teams Room badge, I encourage you to come back at 1 o'clock this afternoon because we're going to do a game show. There's 17 out of the 130 questions that are on the badge itself, so we can give you a little head start to going in there. We know that thousands have actually passed already, but we know there's actually thousands more that have not passed yet. So
And we're giving away 17 of the answers.
we're giving away 17 of the answers.
That feels like cheating.
No. It's just suggestions. That's all that I'm saying.
Got you. Okay, good stuff. And if you do have your badge, make sure you go around the corner. There's a photo opportunity there. Take a selfie, post it on LinkedIn. Make sure you grab that hashtag that's there as well, and then post it on your LinkedIn. Jimmy, I have a question for you.
Well, before we do that, we also have one more thing. If you're walking around the ISE show and you want to listen to us live, you can actually use that QR code and scan in. We're going to be doing this online as well. So not only everybody that's here in person, but also online, you can listen to it.
I don't really want to talk about the pandemic anymore, Jimmy. However, are you working the same way you were working 6 years ago?
Well, that's really the question that we have to ask every one of ourselves. Do you work the same way that you did 6 years ago? And the answer should be no. I hope that there's nobody in here that works the same way that they did 6 years ago. But think of all the technology that's come along the way. Think of all the different things that happened over those 6 years that we've gone home, that we've been hybrid inside of the office and everything else. That's really what we want to do, is say, hey, how are you working and what is this modern way of working?
I'm confused though, Jimmy, because I definitely work differently than I did 6 years ago. I'm in my home lab a whole lot. But if I go to the office kind of stayed the same as it was 6 years ago. So isn't going back kind of feeling like nudging and pushing us back into old work patterns?
Yeah, when leadership says you must be in the office 5 days a week, that's really the question that we have to ask leadership. Are you asking us to go back to the way that we used to work? As I want to show of hands who thinks they're more productive today than they were 6 years ago. And I hope every one of your hands goes up, because Teams, things like this have really revolutionized the way that we work. I was talking to a customer the other day, Michelle, about how we actually work in documents. Think about 6 years ago. 6 years ago, you may have even revved a document and then sent it to your colleagues and said, oh, this is version number 1 or version number 2. Now we're collaborating on those documents live. So really, we have to educate leadership and say, yeah, when you're asking people to go back to the workplace, to devices and systems that are over 6 years old inside of that office, because some amortization is 7 to 10 years old. When you're going back to that workplace, are we really going to be as productive inside of that office as we can be from home? And that's really where the paradox lives.
Right, for sure. So hybrid work is here, flexible work is here. I think with the rising of AI, that has only sped up like times 100. Right, it's going so much fast. But I have one more question for you, Jimmy. Your work style has evolved, but the office doesn't have the latest equipment.
Correct. We're looking at many offices, and we at Microsoft do a whole bunch of work trend study indexes. We study and we look at data, and we know that the offices have not necessarily changed the way that they actually facilitate their rooms. They don't actually look at the way that we're working currently. Bookable desks has been a big thing. That's going to be even more prevalent in the future.
For sure.
Things like conference rooms. We're going to need more spaces where we actually meet, because why are we coming to ISE? Why are we doing this in person? We could do this online, but why are we here? Well, we're here to meet with colleagues and partners and everybody around. There is nothing like meeting in person for something, and that's why leadership wants you back into the office. But if they don't give you the tools to bring in remote colleagues, to actually work the way that we're working in modern work, those can actually be barriers to productivity.
I want to tell you a story, something that happened to me last Thursday. I usually walk the dog like at 6:45-ish. So at 6 foot, you do the same, 6:45? Earlier. Wow. So at 6:45, I walk outside, and my next door neighbor, she storms out the house, all stressed. I'm looking at her like, are you okay? She's like, I really have to rush. I just looked at traffic on my phone. There's so much traffic, but I have an important meeting. And I was like, can't you work from home? She says, like, well, I can only work 2 days from home. Today's Thursday, and I had to spend Monday and Tuesday at home because my daughter was sick. So, well, good luck, right? So she goes to the office. I walked the dog, had a really nice breakfast with the family, took my kids to school, took some time to do email, and then around 9:15-ish, I started my full workday, fully calm and relaxed. So that evening, Jimmy, 7 p.m., I walked the dog again, do the 7 p.m. as well, a little bit later. At 7 p.m., I walked the dog again, and my next door neighbor comes home. So I'm like, how was your day? And she was like, it was horrible. It's like, why? Well, first I spent 2 hours in traffic. Then I got to the office and I found out that the room that I had booked was declined. So I had to scramble and find a new room. And then once I found the room, there was different technology in that room. So it was difficult for me to get connected. But it was a good thing. I was on time for the meeting. I was like, how did the meeting go? She said, I was the only person that was in the office today. So I sat there just by myself. And that's what we're seeing in the data as well. 50% of the people that go to the office don't actually get to meet the people that actually matter to them. That's such a waste of time. $37 billion. This is US alone. And I know we have a lot of Europeans here, obviously. Us people in Europe, Jimmy, you might not know this, we like to meet about meetings. Right? So we like to have the pre-meeting about the meeting, and then we'll have the post-meeting to review the meeting. So I'm sure this number is higher. And then 65% of all office spaces are currently being underutilized. That is a challenge. But Jimmy, are leaders now investing into workspace technology?
Yeah, 100%. What we're seeing is leadership is saying we need to invest in the latest technology. I mean, how many people use Copilot today? That's a huge jump in the way that we work. Just alone, that one piece of technology right there. And leaders are seeing there's ability to actually become more productive, ability to do things that we weren't able to do before. I'll give you a little story that somebody actually shared with me a while ago. They commute to the office 5 days a week. And one thing that they're actually using Copilot for is they start a Copilot meeting inside of the car on their commute. and they talk to the phone during this meeting as if it's a personal assistant. They say, I want to send an email to Michelle today. Oh, by the way, check with Michelle on how is the game show going. Check with Michelle on this and do this. And they go through that for an hour commute. Now, when they get to the office, they have a full list of everything that they want to do today. Not only that, before they leave the office, they can actually go and say, did I accomplish everything that I wanted to today? So these kind of things are there. And what we're seeing is leaders really want to sort of look at this technology and make decisions and say, we need to use this technology effectively.
What I still found interesting, if I go to some of your offices and I go into some of these rooms, I see that less than 15% of your rooms currently have video. So how are people even running hybrid meetings if there's no video there?
9 out of 10 rooms do not currently have technology for video or to bring in remote participants. That's a huge under-tapped space that we have. And what is the biggest expense inside of an organization?
People.
Real estate.
Oh, real estate and people, yeah, for sure. And that goes back to that number that I showed earlier about the percentage of a room being underutilized. Talk us a little bit through what the AI-powered workplace for Microsoft means, Jimmy.
So the AI-powered workplace is really about bringing everything together. How do we go back to the office? How do we make decisions? You shared the story of your friend who actually went into the office, found out that she was the only one inside of the office for that meeting. And not only that, but the room had actually been declined. The AI-powered workplace brings together the technology that's not only inside of the room, but also this idea of the workplace itself, alerting you to things. We will be able to tell you this is a good day to go into the office, or it seems to be you're the only one that's going to be inside of this meeting. Maybe you can actually take this from home. All of that goes into the AI-powered workplace so that we can help everybody understand, here's where I am, here's where I should be, and here's how I'm meeting today.
So what Copilot in Microsoft Places will do, it'll actually look at your agenda and see what is the best day for you to go into the office based on the agenda, the meetings that you might have, your peers that might or might not be in the office, and then also guidance from leadership. Going back to my next door neighbor, she could have been nudged saying, hey, there is a meeting, but no one is going to be in the office. So you have to take that into account before going there. She could have known that Tuesday was not a good day to go in. She should have went in on Wednesday. But also room and desk booking, Jimmy.
Yeah, room and desk booking is really, really important. When you're going into the office, you need space. And that's the key, is this is not your personal space. So you need to book spaces that are there. Understanding how it's being booked, where it's being booked, and understanding the use of what's actually inside of that room is very, very valuable to all of the people involved in the facilities and the management.
Another thing that I struggle with is, so I go to the office, I sit there, and then I'm about to go to a meeting, and I realize I just forgot to book a room, right? So what Copilot in Places will do for you, again, it'll nudge you and say, you're in the office today, but you forgot to book a room. Maybe you have a meeting with 7 people, but only 4 of them are in that room. Places is going to nudge you and say, do you want me to book those rooms for you? But then sometimes, Jimmy, we're on recurring meetings, right? So the first week works out great. The second week works out great. But the third week, that room might be declined. What Places will do is automatically find you a new room so that you have a room available. I want to shift this conversation, Jimmy, a little bit to Microsoft Teams rooms and some of the AI technology to recognize people in the room as well.
Yeah, AI is a big part when we talk about Copilot. That is generative AI, but AI also plays a part in all the devices that we have as well. Understanding the access to the people that are inside of the room, understanding when people get up and go to the whiteboard, they're writing on the whiteboard. We want to bring all of that information into the meeting itself and not make it restrictive. Remember when we started Teams rooms years ago, the main goal was to elevate both in-person and remote to equal citizenship inside of that meeting. One should not have a better experience than the other. And that's one of the things that we're doing with AI and the camera control and things like that. You'll see that we're removing some of those empty spaces inside of the room through AI. Cameras, basically, what they're looking at is a canvas now. And if we can focus more on the person itself, we're going to be doing that. If we can actually attribute you, Michelle Bauman, to the transcripts, Jimmy Vaughn to the transcripts, all of this works into AI to do what? To make us more productive and make meetings even better.
Can you walk us through these different things, these different AI features that we have in cameras? Because I can imagine if we say we have IntelliFrame, you might look at me super confused. So Jimmy, can you break down the difference between IntelliFrame in intelligent cameras in existing cameras, and then some of the automatic switching that we can do?
Yeah, so we do a couple of different things. One is we work with all of our OEM partners, and we look at the cameras and the ability of those cameras, and we say, are you able to feed us individual streams of video of people inside of the room? That's one way that we go. But the lowest common denominator is taking a standard camera that might be Microsoft Teams certified, but allowing that camera that may not have smarts inside of it, and using the cloud to actually pull out some of those empty spaces. We've all been the far end inside of a room where you can't see the people at the head of the table. You don't actually know who's talking. You can't have an intelligent conversation because you're struggling to know exactly which one of the people at the head of the table is going. By removing a lot of that empty space and bringing those people forward, we can now give them their own square. We can do things and again elevate those remote and in-person people to the same citizenry inside of the meeting itself.
So how about if you have multiple cameras in a room? So let's say you have a large boardroom, and sometimes there's a situation where someone might just sit behind someone else. You can't really get a full view. How does the AI know which camera to look for?
So we do different things. Our OEMs are spectacular at providing either a center table camera, a front of room camera, but you said it, it's not always the best view. So what generally happens is you look at the person's face, the person's shoulders, and you give it a score. And you say, do I see 2 ears? Do I see 2 eyes? How do I see this? And that score, as it gets a better rating, obviously that's the better view of the person itself. Yep. We'll be able to actually calculate that this is Jimmy Vaughn, and I can see him from this camera, I can see him from this camera, and I can see him from that camera. What's the best view? Well, it's probably this one right here, because that's the one you want to see. Is you want to have that eye contact, not see the side of my face itself.
So I have one more scenario. Let's say we have again, going back to, we're pitching a project, and we have the decision maker, and she's behind her laptop. She's also in the Teams meeting. She's also in the meeting room. And I would love to see her nonverbal, to see what's happening when I pitch the project. Can we do like select which camera we want to use?
Absolutely. The far end now has the ability with multiple camera solutions. The far end can actually pick what view they think is the best. We're going to give you what we think is the best, but you've always got that ability to actually choose which camera you want to see as well.
Okay, so we saw a couple of hands go up when we started asking about Microsoft 365 Copilot and who was already using it. There are scenarios in the room, Jimmy, where there might be certain blind spots that are created when using Copilot in the meeting room. Can you explain what one of those blind spots might be and how Teams rooms can help?
Yeah, absolutely. But a blind spot, let's think about what is a blind spot? Well, we've all done it when we're driving a car. You know, you've got your mirrors, but you can't see what's over there. Blind spots actually exist with conference rooms as well, because as Microsoft sellers go out to our customers, what are they licensing Copilot for? It's for the person, right? So each person gets an individual license. But what happens when everybody gathers inside of a conference room? Well, we may actually be attributed to the conference room itself if we have not thought about being in a conference room with Copilot.
So just to clarify that, so that means that, again, going back to discussing an important project, person 1 in the room says, I approve it. Person 2 says, I disapprove it. If we would go to the meeting transcription, it would say, meeting room 1, 2, 3, 4 approves and disapproves the meeting?
Correct. And what are we investing AI in? We're investing in AI to increase productivity. So while we'll give you those, hey, you can increase productivity here, I like to tell people, let's look at lack of productivity. So in your example of meeting room 1, 2, 3, 4, AI is going over that transcript, and it says that meeting room 1, 2, 3, 4 approve the budget and disapprove the budget. Well, what happens if I've been in 3 meetings at the same time and I'm trying to use the AI recap for that meeting? Well, an AI recap might take me 10 minutes to oversee it. But if it says that it both approved the budget and disapproved the budget, now what am I doing? I have to go back and watch that full hour meeting. So what did I lose? I lost 50 minutes of productivity just on that single example. Every single person that had to go back and rewatch that now lost productivity. So we can do things inside of the meeting room itself to help those kind of situations. And we can attribute people themselves. That way, when AI goes over the transcript, it knows that 2 different people are there. And it'll actually bring it out and say, Michelle Bauman disapproved of something and Jimmy Vaughn approved of something, allowing me to use that AI recap. And again, gain my 50 minutes of time.
And this works now on Teams rooms on Windows. It's coming to Teams rooms on Android really soon. There used to be I see a couple of nerds here in the audience, so I know I can speak to you. This used to be a policy that was off by default. We're now going to turn it on by default, so it's going to be easier for users to enroll into that. Did you know that meetings are still the #1 productivity disruptor in any company? And there are 3 things that people really stress about during meetings. #1 is people showing up late and having difficulty to catch up. #2, no clear tasks of what was even talked about during that meeting. I see a gentleman nodding. And then #3 is no summarization. This is what facilitator can really help with, Jimmy.
Yeah, we've looked at the way that people actually meet in person, and we've done a couple of things. And the latest AI innovations that we're doing are called agents. And agents are the way that we're going to empower more and more things. And facilitator is an important one because facilitator actually takes the meeting itself and is inside of the meeting. And it's an identity that actually lives inside of the meeting. We can do different things with facilitator. We can actually query facilitator so that, hey, what did I miss in this meeting? And not only the person querying it, but everybody else in the meeting gets the same thing. We've also multi-purposed Teams rooms.
Yes.
One of the things that we do, when you think about Teams room, you think about, all right, I'm going to take in-person and remote people and connect them together. But what if I'm only having a meeting inside of the room? We've all had that situation where we go to the whiteboard something, and then after we whiteboard it, you take a picture of the whiteboard, and that's your digital artifact after the meeting. What happens when we have a question about that whiteboard? Facilitator now allows us to use that Microsoft Teams room, and again, it's only in-person meeting. It can be my note taker. I can have 2 people inside of the room. We can whiteboard it. Now I don't only walk away with that digital photo of the whiteboard. I walk away with a full transcript that I can actually query and ask, what were we talking about when we talked about this?
Wow, so I learned a lot of things. So Teams Rooms is no longer just a single-use device. It's a multi-purpose device. So it's still great, easy, and secure meetings. The second one is filling in these AI blind spots that we spoke about. The third one is facilitator, but there is one last one, Jimmy, that we recently added along with our partners at Zoco and AppSpace, which is digital signage.
Yeah, digital signage is an important part of every organization. Think about coming into the office and being able to see important meetings, to see important messaging. Well, we've got the screens at the front of the room. Why should we just let those screens be blank in between meetings or when they're not actually in use in the conference room? We can use digital signage, and our partners at Zogo and AppSpace have the ability to actually push digital signage so that those screens can actually deliver important information to the customers.
Okay, so that was session 1 of today. First of all, thank you for showing up to the booth. We'll have a fun, super fun game show going on at 1 p.m. You have to make sure you come back. You can win prizes. It's not the price you think you can win, but there's still fun prizes. So that's going to be a good one. And then at 2 p.m., we're going to talk Microsoft Places. At 4 p.m., we would love to see you back to do the Ask Me Anything with Ilya Buckstein, our VP for devices. Thank you so much for showing up. We'll see you on the later session.
Thanks, everybody.
Don't forget to go and take your selfies on the side of the booth if you have your badge.
I'm going to break out my PC. How are you? Hi. Yes.